We begin with the latest in US-South Africa tensions. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has once again pushed back against claims from US President Donald Trump and tech billionaire Elon Musk that a white genocide is taking place in South Africa. Ramaphosa strongly rejected these accusations, calling them false narrative during his weekly address. He urged South Africans to challenge the idea that any racial or cultural group is being targeted for persecution. Now, while he didn't take names, his remarks were a clear response to Trump's allegations that the South African government is persecuting white minority Afrikaner group by encouraging violent attacks on their farms and seizing their land. Last month, Trump issued an executive order, cutting US funding to South Africa as a punishment. He also offered Afrikaners refugee status in the United States. The commander-in-chief's buddy Elon Musk, who is a South African-born tech billionaire, has also repeated these claims frequently. Just this weekend, he accused South African leaders of actively promoting white genocide. He pointed to a recent rally by the leftist economic freedom fighters, or the EFF party, where leaders sang a controversial apartheid-era song with the lyrics, "Kill the Boer." And in South Africa, Boer is a term for a white farmer. After the tech billionaire, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio also weighed in, calling the chant a call to violence. While the modern use of the song has been criticized by some in South Africa, a 2022 court ruling found that it does not constitute hate speech, as there was no proof it incites actual violence. Now the EFF party says it's a historical anti-apartheid song that shouldn't be taken literally. But as tensions grow over the treatment of South Africa's white minority, President Trump has nominated a new US ambassador to South Africa. He has appointed conservative media critic and pro-Israel commentator Leo Brent Bozell. Now, Trump has been a vocal critic of South Africa's stance on the Israel-Hamas war, particularly its decision to accuse Israel of genocide in Gaza at the International Court of Justice. And Bozell's nomination comes just days after the US expelled South Africa's ambassador Ebrahim Rasool over his controversial remarks about Trump and his administration. Rasool returned to South Africa to a hero's welcome and said he has no regrets. But now, with relations between Washington and Pretoria at a boiling point, the question is, how could South Africa navigate its foreign policy challenges? And now, to discuss further, we have with us Phumlani M. Majozi, an author and political analyst, joining us live from Johannesburg. Mr. Majozi, welcome to Firstpost.
Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Mr. Majozi, US President Donald Trump and his allies claim that a white genocide is being encouraged in South Africa. Considering the country's crime statistics, how credible are these allegations for a targeted campaign against white farmers?
No, there is no genocide in South Africa. There is no white genocide. I think to put it like that is totally wrong. There is no white genocide, but there has been concerning attacks on farmers, right? There has been concerning number of murders on farmers. Even the editor of Politics Web, James Mayberg, he put together some numbers years back. So there have been people who have been looking into the numbers. So there has been concern around the farm attacks, the farm murders, but to say there is a white genocide, that is totally misleading. There is no white genocide in South Africa. Anybody who says that there is a genocide against the white population in South Africa is totally wrong. There has been, though, the concerning significant, numbers that are a significant issue around the farm murders. And I must say here that it's very important to point out that amongst the things that have been concerning is that there has been very much a very disturbing rhetoric 30 years into our democracy. When it comes to some politicians chanting the songs around the kill the Boer, kill the farmer, those things have been quite concerning for many people in the country, including many within the white population itself. Many of us, they do believe that, 30 years into our democracy, we shouldn't be singing these songs. They may have been relevant back then, before we got democracy, but now we're a democratic nation. We have to ensure that everybody feels safe and we build forward.
Now you say there's no genocide. But what role does South Africa's historical context play in shaping perceptions of racial violence in the country? And to what extent does misinformation contribute to amplifying these claims?
Oh yeah, I mean, many people in the country, they still look in the racial lens. You do have politicians who keep on leading the charge when it comes to race matters. And you do have politicians who have been really determined to divide us as a nation along racial lines. That I don't believe has been helpful for our country. It's not what we need to build together. There has been this narrative amongst some politicians, especially on the left and far left, people led by Julius Malema, the leftist far brand, who have been pushing the narrative that the blame should be on the white minority, who account for less than 8% for South Africa's socio-economic issues, or for South Africa's, the issues that are being faced by the majority of the population. That has been quite concerning, that we have such political leaders who continue to push the race issue. Yes, we do have significant issues that we have to face. We have to address, from unemployment to crime to creating opportunities. But the push by politicians to divide the country along racial lines has been quite counterproductive for the country. And in terms of misinformation, of course, misinformation in the age of digital media, social media, that has been concerning, and it can cause some damage in the country and to societies at large. So that has been quite disturbing as well.
Right. Mr. Majosi, President Donald Trump has nominated a pro-Israel commentator as the U.S. ambassador to South Africa. How do you think this decision will impact diplomatic relations between the two countries?
Well, South Africa does want to work with the U.S. President Ramaphosa has been very clear on that, and I do approve of that stance that we need to be open to working with the U.S. President Ramaphosa has said he is willing to get into a trade discussion or a trade deal with President Donald Trump's administration. I think that is positive. I do hope that the new ambassador will be a person also will want to strengthen relations with South Africa. Of course, there are differences right now that are very significant between the two countries. I think that there are opportunities to work together and move forward. I look forward to those negotiations, because it means that at that time there will be some compromises from both sides. Where we go, it will be interesting to see. But I do believe that this is an opportunity to reset the relations with the U.S. that have been really, they've been knocked down by the differences between the two countries.
Mr. Majosi, as we closely track the story, I thank you very much for sharing your insights. Thank you for Firstpost.
Thank you.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
No, I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.